Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. So it's our normal Thursday talk, menopause, and last week we did some case series, a little different format. So I talked about 3 women in my practice, 3 different scenarios, 3 different clinical situations, and how, what was I seeing just in their history? How did the labs bear out? And then what was my recommendation? What was the solution? I think it went pretty well. I think people enjoyed the case series format, so I'll bring that back every now and again. I will kind of post, definitely listen. All my lives go back up, so you can listen to the one from last week. And then I created some slides and things, so I'll post those eventually, just going through that in text format if it's easier for you to read text than listen to me drone on for 45 minutes. So I think that went well. So if there's any questions, if anybody was on last week and they have questions, whether after they listened or if they participated, don't hesitate, put that in the chat. Happy to field any questions regarding last week. This week, again, I'm really pulling from clinic because, again, as things come up, right, it's like, I'm getting asked the same thing over and over. So I figure there's probably somebody out there that feels the same, has the same question. So that was kind of my goal for today, was to run through 2 kind of common things I'm seeing. And how do I talk through that? How do we tease it out? How do we help people navigate? So the more and more I get into women's health, perimenopause and menopause, just metabolic health, like taking care of women through their lifespan, and how do we keep our moms and grandmothers and aunts and cousins, right, all of us healthy and vital. There seems to be, when we talk about hormone replacement or hormone therapy, it's almost like there's 2 camps. There's those that are comfortable doing hormone therapy, and then there are those that are not. And they seem to almost be at odds sometimes. As I see women in clinic, they either have this really hard and fast, I'll never take hormones, or please give me hormones. And there's what I'm not seeing quite often is, well, can we do both, right? Is there this sweet spot in the middle? How do we combine quote unquote natural with hormone? Because the perception is that hormone therapy maybe is not natural. So it's this very interesting sort of juxtaposition that I see quite often. And I just kind of wanted to talk through that a little bit. And I think, again, there's this misperception. I guess in my mind, there's a misperception that doing hormone therapy is somehow not natural, or we are, altering our physiology and we're taking things, like some people are in the camp of, I don't like medication, right? I don't want to take meds. And then hormone therapy is perceived as a medication. Therefore, they may be opposed to that and they'd rather go the natural route. And then I think sometimes what gets us a little bit murky is there's bioidentical hormones that are out there, pellets and those sorts of things that are being perceived as natural, when quite honestly, those are not as regulated, those are not as monitored. So there's this marketing ploy around bioidentical, making people feel like, this is more natural than doing a prescription or an FDA regulated, hormone therapy. So there's this weird dichotomy between either I'm going to take hormones or I'm not. I just want to be natural. And the more and more I see this in my practice, again, because I'm very much about how do we restore metabolic function? How do we get our cells functioning as optimally as possible? What is brewing under the surface? Labs are normal, very classic. Labs are normal, but I feel like absolute dog, what. But my labs are great, so my doc says, go on. Labs are great. I don't know. So how do we tease that out and how do we unwind that? And for me, I'm very much about lifestyle. How are you eating? What are you eating? Are you eating consistently? Are you starting your day with something sugary and then you're chasing that all day long? Are we sleeping well? Are we getting restorative sleep? Do we need to rule out sleep apnea? Are you exercising, and what does that exercise look like? Are you doing cardio 7 days a week? Are you lifting? Are you doing it because you love it? Are you doing it because you have to? Are we drinking alcohol? Are we choosing other beverages? Are we engaging in any other illicit substances? And do we have good social connection? Are we managing our stress? And how do we do that effectively? So for me, that's my foundation. And that's, if I can get people metabolically healthy, really understand their lifestyle, what are they doing day to day, and how to optimize that lifestyle and support them through that, whether that's coaching, my access, nutrition, dietitian, whatever we need to support people in that lifestyle. Can we marry and can we stack other things on top of it to get you your quality of life, your end goal, your health vision? When I onboard people to my practice, I ask them that. I ask them, what is your goal for the next 6 months to a year? What is your health vision? What do you want out of life, right? What are we working towards? Because I find that if we don't put a goal in front of us, we just get up, barely make it through our day, go to bed, rinse and repeat. But if we can define, what is this thing that we are working towards, that hopefully gives us a little bit of a North Star, and we can sort of create some habits that lead us in that direction. So that's part of my onboarding. I really get into lifestyle. I get into your health vision. What are you trying to create? I get a really good understanding of your family history. What are you at risk for? What are you maybe genetically predisposed for? But again, we know that there's something called epigenetics where you can turn that on and off based on our choices. So we are not destined based on our DNA to have X, right? My mom died really early of heart disease. I'm not destined to have that. That is not necessarily my fate if I stack the right choices. So DNA is not your destiny. There is a thing called epigenetics. So how are we choosing our life to create health in spite of whatever our genetic predilection is? What meds have you tried? What haven't you tried? What are your symptoms? What are you struggling with? Really getting to understand my patients and what their goals are. So I think when we take care of women through our lifespan, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause obviously is all part of that. What is the foundation of health that we're creating? And how do we support women to do sometimes what is hard, make change? And is there a way to kind of blend these two things? It's not either I'm going to take hormones or I'm going to be natural. It's how can we bring them together? How do we support ourselves with lifestyle, natural things, and if needed, and if you choose to, knowing where the research is, knowing what your risk may or may not be, and can we layer hormone therapy on top of that? And there's no two different camps, right? It's not one or the other. To me, it honestly can and really should be both. And when I say should be, I mean the foundation has to be there. I personally, when I see somebody in my practice and they're coming in and their health vision is to, they're struggling with night sweats, they're struggling with brain fog, they can't lose weight, they feel like they're doing the same thing, nothing's happening. And when I tease out their lifestyle, similar to some of the women that I went through last week, they might not be making the best nutrition choices, the healthiest nutrition choices. Maybe they're leaning on cardio like they did back in the day. And we know perimenopause and menopause, you gotta chuck that, right? You can't, it's not going to get you to your goal. And when we go through that and I start saying, okay, these are your goals. Here are maybe the 2 or 3 things that I think if we modified, we would have greater success. Where do you want to start? And they're like, nah, I'm good, but I want hormone therapy. I think you gotta work towards doing both, right? It's not a one or the other. The two really should be working together. Similar, like when I see people and I'm treating high blood pressure or I'm treating high cholesterol, just handing somebody a pill does not change the underlying physiology. It does not change the underlying disease process. So just stacking a blood pressure pill on unhealthy food choices, lack of exercise, and poor sleep, eventually that physiology will push through the medication. So really it's about addressing the root fixing lifestyle, supporting people with it. It ain't easy. I get it. It is not easy. Trust me, I'm right there with you. I have had to shuffle the deck, and I am still shuffling the deck, trying to figure out how do I get back to where I was even a year ago, 2 years ago, where I felt like I was on top of the world. Now I'm like, oh my God, right? So I get it, but I'm continuing to stay curious. I'm continuing to stay in the game and willing to sort of shuffle the deck a little bit. So it's address the underlying, support people with that. And then absolutely, if people are ready to stack on hormone therapy on top. And what does that mean, right? Is it estrogen? Is it progesterone? Is it testosterone? I really do want to bring somebody in to talk about testosterone. I'm hearing there's a lot of talk about testosterone, and I'd like to have somebody come in and have a little conversation and a dialogue around testosterone. So I'm trying to find who that right person is. What's the form of it? Is it safe? Is it not? Why take it? Why not take it? What's it indicated for? Is it off label? Is it on, right? All of the things. Because I think there's a lot of conversation around testosterone. And I mean, it's essentially an anabolic steroid, right? If you think about it. So it can make you feel great. And then as the dose peters, you don't feel so great. And then it's like, ooh, I want that again. And should we be doing that, and what's the right dose, and how do we do that in a safe and efficacious way that keeps, again, women vital, keeps us in the workforce, it keeps us engaged with our family, it keeps us engaged with our goals, and then creates long-term health and vitality. So how do we do that, again, through our lifespan? So the thing is like, it's not an either or. There's not like the hormone camp and the non-hormone camp, or the natural and the hormone camp, right? I think we need to sort of come a little bit closer in there. And treating lifestyle, we call it our treatment dose of lifestyle modification, right? I talk to my patients a lot about, if are you just ready to dip your toe in? Are you ready to step in? Are you ready to jump all the way into the pool? If you want big change, you got to make big change. So it's just about, where are you on that continuum, and how committed are you, and how ready are you? And we all get there at different times. And sometimes we're ready now, and sometimes it takes a few months. And I support people through that. So lifestyle, and if indicated, and if the woman wants, where does hormone therapy fit into that, and how do we do that safely, rather than it's either one or the other. And then the other thing that has come up more frequently or more recently is the notion that, well, I still have my period. I still get a period, so I can't be in perimenopause. My periods are really irregular. Can I get pregnant? Yes. And yes, you can still be in perimenopause and still be menstruating. So being really, really careful and making sure that we have a good birth control plan in place. If the choice is if you don't choose to be pregnant or choose to have children. But yes, right, I'm seeing women coming in early. Yes, you can be perimenopause in your 30s, having symptoms and being told, well, you're still getting a period, so this can't be what it is, and getting poo-pooed, right? And getting pushed out or not being listened to because they're still menstruating. So there's no way that you can be in perimenopause. And we know that that's not true. We know that that's not the case. Yes, absolutely, you can be perimenopausal and still have a period. If your periods are irregular, yes, you can still get pregnant. So yes, you need to be, making sure you have a birth control method in place if you don't desire to have children. And again, how do we take care of women during that time period? Well, again, it's about, what are your goals, right? If you're having symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms, mood swings and brain fog, you may not be getting the night sweats and the hot flushes, but you're having weight gain, and maybe things are a little bit more subtle, you just kind of feel off. Spending time to understand what those symptoms are, and making sure that we don't have any confounding things that could be causing them. And I think I've said this before, if you're a hammer, you only see a nail, right? So the more time you spend in a space, when you're treating just women, which is not my case, I still treat men. Women tend to find me more, but I still have some males in my practice, and I welcome them. And so when you only treat women and you only do menopause, you tend to only see menopause as the cause. And that's no knock to my colleagues and my physician, colleagues. And some of that is natural selection, right? Women find a menopause specialist, and that's all they do because they feel, they haven't been heard in traditional healthcare, and that's what they need, right? They need somebody who's going to deal with menopause. But then also making sure that if you've walked away from your primary doc because you don't feel you've been heard and you're going to someone who just does menopause, that somebody is watching the store. And I've said that a lot. Somebody is looking at all the things. And are there things that could be confounding your symptoms that need to be addressed and treated? Yeah, I hear you. Mood swings and night sweats. It's brutal, right? Because those night sweats affect your sleep. If we're not getting great sleep, our cortisol level stays up high. Cortisol is brutal. Our fight or flight system is not meant to be on all the time. But it is, right? If we have this high riding cortisol, we're sort of functioning on this over sympathetic driven system. It can increase our blood pressure. It can cause us not to lose weight. So lack of sleep affects cortisol. Cortisol has a multitude of sort of deleterious side effects to our physiology and our metabolic health, right? Insulin resistance, which again leads to type 2 diabetes. So it all kind of connects, right? If we're having mood swings, I see a lot of women who struggle with mood disorder. And I will say we do a piss poor job of validating and treating not just women, people with mood disorder. And I'm talking mood disorders, anxiety, depression, bipolar, major mental illness. We just don't do a great job of it. We don't, as docs, we weren't trained in it. So we tend to you're anxious, or, you're depressed. Do I have to deal with, are you suicidal? What do I do with that? This is uncomfortable. Do you have a therapist? Right? And we sort of are trying to back out of the room. No, we do an awful job, and we have to stop that. We have to start talking about mood disorder like it's high blood pressure, like it's diabetes, like it's high cholesterol. It deserves the same time and attention as any other diagnosis that we treat and any other disease state that we treat, because if we don't manage and we don't support our patients through anxiety, depression, self-doubt, rage, all of the stuff that comes, we will not be able to get them as healthy physically if we don't deal with their mental and emotional health. So we have to start doing that. Otherwise, we're doing women a disservice, any of our patients a disservice. So be mindful in your 30s, periods getting irregular. Please have a birth control method in place unless you're ready to have kids, which is a beautiful thing. And yes, you can be perimenopausal and still be menstruating regular or irregular. So yes, making sure that, you're doing a symptom score, you're monitoring your symptoms. If you don't have the doc that's paying attention and watching the store, please, find somebody. There's a doc, Newson, she's abroad. I think she's in the UK. She's got an app called Balance. It's free. She's amazing. Actually, I've been listening to her more recently. They do things a bit differently. She's done research on testosterone. She's very well known in the sort of menopause and hormone therapy space. Hormone sort of physiology. We are a 3-hormone being. So how do all of those play into each other? How she treats her patients. She's got a free app. It's called Balance. You can take a menopause symptom score in there. She's got lots of really good resources. It's Newsom is her last name, News. I think it's OM. But the app is called Balance. I think it's great. So I would recommend that as a resource to women as well. But yeah, those two things I'm starting to see more frequently, right? Perimenopause, in 30s, getting a period. Is it still perimenopause? Absolutely, it can be. And then the other one is feeling like we're in two camps, hormone therapy or not. And the two don't really want to talk, and the two don't want to, they kind of look down at each other. At least that's the perception I'm getting in my clinic. And I want to try to change that, because this crap is hard. And the last thing we need is division, right? The last thing we need is to further sort of divide us women and say, oh, you're in the hormone camp and oh, I'm in the natural camp. No, we are all in this crazy together. And we got to support each other regardless of what plan and what treatment you opt for. We are all in this together, and it's going to take every one of us to support each other and get each other through. So I wanted to just walk through those two things today. Any questions at all? I talked a lot last week, so I think I'm a little brief today. I'm going to choose brevity today. Any questions from last week, anything that's come up, anything that I can be of service with? Otherwise, it might be short and sweet today, ladies. There was a gentleman on here. Oh, you're welcome. And to be. I think we had two earlier. Maybe they've hopped off. They're like, what? You're talking women stuff? I'm out of here. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. I think you guys know you can always get to me. You got questions, you can send me a personal direct message. All my information's on my website. I'm on here. Probably don't check this direct message very often, but eventually it'll get to me. But if it's more urgent, please jump on the website. My email's on there. My office number's on there. Happy to answer any questions and be of resource. And if there's things you want me to include, let me know. Again, I've got my list and I'm trying to organize some people. It's not always that easy, but I've got the list. So let me know how I can be helpful. Alrighty? If not, have a fantastic day, everybody. Thank you for showing up, spending your time with me, choosing to spend your time with me. I do appreciate that. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.